With that, singular focus and mindset about looking at consumers, right? How do you lead your team to deeply care about consumers? Because personally, that's been a challenge, right?
Yes, for I think definitely. I think this is something that's quite not quite. I would say it's a very big challenge. As over the years that I've seen or I've been in Myanmar, my background actually is I used to be a strategic planner, so we delve a lot in terms of first party research, second party research, looking at data, looking at also sales. So we try to correlate a lot of these kind of things. And one thing for me personally that stands out is always the customers or the consumers, what they consume, which goes back to where I firmly believe. I think that's where it's really important, and for me that's how I try to guide or set up some framework in terms of what we do, especially for me in the marketing. So how, if we have a product, how we can market this to the consumers. That's every brand will think the same way, but most brands will focus a lot more on product itself. I think they say we have a great product. This product the customer will buy. But I always challenge the team to say we should look at the consumer point of view and how consumer will see this product instead of how this product will benefit them, but they will see it as how they will use it on a daily basis, how they will use it or consume this product, whether it's a consumer product goods or it's a mobile phone or it's a financial services or insurance, etc. How would they understand and how would they consume? I think that's always needs to be a good balance. So for me, usually when I'm in organization, so especially I challenge the marketing team and myself also. I always try to challenge the management or the product team to say, because we represent the voice of the consumers in the company. So I always train that way. If you're a good marketer, you should defend the customers. You should not feed them with junk. You should value the customers from the minute when you arrive to the office. What you do as a marketer is not to sell so much. You should provide value to customers, and you should stand for that in the office as a customer point of view to defend the consumers. Because if you know the consumers well, a lot of things will happen. You get more efficiency in terms of what you spend because you know where they are instead of just blasting everywhere. So it's like a domino. If you really know a segment, a 20-year-old, what does she does, what's a day in their life, where do they go, how do they consume certain products, how do they consume media, what trends do they like, and of course also some forecasts of some upcoming trends, whether it's global or regional. Would that impact in Myanmar? Would that be taking off? We see that also quite a lot right now because, age of internet, everything is immediate. Whatever happened in New York, a couple of hours later, you can see it here right now. So that's how fast it is. So that's also the quickness. But I think at the end, we want to understand what is the threshold of our customers. Whichever industry you're in, whether it's a B2C or a B2B, is the same thing, I think. If it's a business, you need to know what is their business needs first. Of course, profitability, right? So how can our product make their business become more profitable or make their businesses become more efficient? It's not directly profitable, but in terms of efficiency, maybe they do not. For example, I think you guys have created a HR software, right? So that I think is also able to provide companies to be more efficient in terms of maybe they do not need to hire manual people to manage the HR operations, to take attendance, to make sure they come on time, etc. So those kind of things supports those. So when you say we have this app, but what this app can do to the customers, that's the always a fine balance. Good product, how can we make it great? By talking to the right people with the right communication, I think.
Yeah, no, I find that ultimately that is the what do you call it, the formula of creating a great business, right? Putting customers at the center of whatever that you do. But oftentimes, and including us, we find that actually doing that and getting our teams to really look at it from the perspective of consumers,
It's
customers.
not easy.
etc.
It's not easy. It's always it's a constant reminder, even to myself. It's not easy because I'm not sure why, but I think it's logical to think that way. But a lot of marketer, a lot of people that I've met, always there's a lot of focus on the product or the services itself, but not so much on the people who uses this product or the people who uses these services. So I always challenge to say we should focus here, because whatever that is created great, but you do not have a market for it, then it doesn't solve anybody's problem because they can't see it. But there's always a fine balance. Of course, then they will say, okay, we have great product. We need to make our consumers or people, the target audience, knows that this product. That's the first step. But once they have the knowledge of the existence of this, how would they then try it? So it's always you need to build a strategic plan, right? From awareness to trial to usage to advocacy. Once they use, they like it, they do reviews, they share it, word of mouth, very important here. When I like something, I will talk about it, right? So again, that also I always say, if the customer like this and we can target them, they become our advocate, they become our marketer. Yeah. And indirectly, it also will become more efficient for the brand. We don't need to spend too much money in marketing because consumers who use it will positively talk about it. So that's also very important. When the customers feel they are cared for, the customers feel this product is built for them, and the company that builds it or the brand that builds it is caring to them, then they will always advocate. And they will always be loyal. Because if you like one thing, usually you will stay with.
Yeah, I think for a young market like Myanmar, where the talent is young, the market is young, the consumers are young, I think it's probably the timing. I think this way of thinking is probably going to start. We'll probably going to see more and more of that in the upcoming years.
Yes, I think
ultimately that's why it matters, right?
Yeah, I think because of the young population, it's always very good to focus on the building the brand loyalty instead of just trial. But again, I think there is also certain challenges when you are young. You tend to try stuff. Yeah. Even though you like this, you try another one just to compare. Right? Yeah. So the young market is always there. It's across, I think, across generation, across whether you're a Westerner or you're an Asian. I think it's quite similar. When you are young, you like to try stuff. So when you try it, then you like it, then you compare. So we also need to make sure we have a good product. When you have a good product, they try it, they may try a competitor's product, they will always come back to you. If you think, oh, I feel this is good for me and works better for me compared to this. So I think at the end, always the brand has to remain truthful. Yeah. They have to preach what they promise. Yeah. I think otherwise, if you say you are great, but the product is just good, not great, you should just say it's good, not great. Yeah. Things like that. So, because customers always remember, right? So
You can't lie to the consumers, customers.
Yeah. We can talk to them in their language, so to make sure they understand. I think customers have also certain understanding. They are demanding. I think they are becoming more demanding right now, especially in Myanmar. I think customers demand a lot of things, and they expect immediate responses. So they kind of set a very high standard in terms of customer service. So we talk a little bit about that, because customer service also have a name customer on it, right?
Yep.
That's also where we need to focus, not just marketing, but right now it's a total experience. So customer service is also part of it, because they get good experience, they get quick feedback, they get the right solution immediately when they have issues. They can contact or connect with the brand immediately, and brand can respond to them immediately. So all these are key areas that customers look for. I have this brand, I have this product, I bought it, I try to use it, certain function doesn't work, I call. If not, I'll go to the website. If not, I go to their social media. I will ask if they respond to me. If they don't respond within 2 days, 1 day, you get very angry. If they respond immediately and they are able to solve your problem, great, you talk to 10 people about it. So that's also a part of the journey. So that's why I always also try to train the team to make sure all these areas are important, because they are customers fronting. Even it's not purely a marketing job, but we have to work across all these platforms to make sure our customer are kept happy even after sales.
Yep.
Yeah.
I truly believe actually that there is no, I mean, for any brand, any company in this modern Asian world, there is no, I mean, departments, etc. Making a customer happy or your customers happy is everyone's job.
Correct. I think
the consumer experience is everyone's responsibility.
I think there's also a shift in terms of some trend right now. It's no longer about marketing, or it's no longer about customer service, it's no longer about finance, HR. Because all this, in an organization or a company, all this exists because you have a purpose, and the purpose is to elevate, or your mission is to elevate the life of consumers with a certain service and product. So always it goes back to the customers. So customers are kind of king, and that saying, customers is king, right? So that saying will remain very dominant across, whether you're in Myanmar or you are anywhere around the world. You need customers.
In that perspective, right? How do you keep the team very agile in because back in the days it used to be like different departments, so you do your job, they do their job, etc., and then there's some handover happening. But in this day and age where information is available everywhere, where you gotta wear multiple hats, how do you keep that team motivated and agile in terms of your management style?
For me, usually I try to also get people to work. Collaboration, I think, is very important. We can't be specialists in certain areas. We can be generalists, and we can be specializing. Let's say if you're a marketing manager, you can specialize in this product, this category, and you have to understand deep down this customer segment for this product. But across that, then you should have also some knowledge in terms of customer service, in terms of product marketing, in terms of sales. So, and you have to collaborate. I think that's very important, is you can share your experience. This is how customers sees it. This is how customers think. And this is how customers will want this product to be delivered. And these are the channels in terms of media that we can reach. Once we reach them, what happens? So, and there's always a loop. customers who may come back. So tendency over the last few years, we see a lot of, especially in my industry, we see a lot of collaboration happening now, more so marketing and customer service. Because I think both these departments, or we can call it, have kind of similar touch points. First is usually when a marketer, usually you do a campaign. So when you do a campaign, it can be across ATL, BTL, TV commercials, billboards, radio, digital platforms, programmatic, social media. All these are platforms that are talking or hitting directly to the consumers. So then you have also the area where customer service comes in, where people on your social media, they can engage with you, they can come and comment. I saw this ad, I've seen this TV commercial, I like it, I dislike it, I want to ask more questions. So we have a website. So the queries can come in because consumers are not linear, right? They think when they are sitting on the TV, they see, oh, your ad, they may be texting, they go to your Facebook, they may be texting or chatting to say, oh, I see this, can I check, how much is it? So it's not so linear, and we are talking about millions of customers, right, coming in if you are really hitting it big. So there's always, internally, there's always a need for collaboration to ensure when we run this campaign, everyone else knows. Let's say even you have physical stores, so even more important, right, you have like 200 locations, physical stores, 200 different store managers with maybe 400 promoters. So we should train them, and that is also part of, may not be exclusively a marketer job, but we need to engage with the product trainer to make sure the message,
that's also your touch point.
Yeah, the message pass through seamlessly, same message is sent through. Let's say I go to the website, I ask through an email, the response I get will be the similar to the one that I texted on or I chatted on a Facebook page and call center, and personally walking into the store. So you should have, very ideal scenario, you should have a seamless and same experience.
Yeah.
So that is where the challenge, I think, for a company right now to do that.
Yeah.
Very difficult. It's easy to say, but it's very difficult. That's where we, internally, we always encourage collaboration. Because all these have different parts. Sales needs to be involved because if you're talking about like branches, like stores, storefronts, so sales needs to know what is being done in the campaign. So customer service also need to know what campaigns we run, because queries will come in through them. People will call, oh, I've seen this promotion. They should know about it and they can explain. So that's, in essence, I focus a lot to try to get the team to really collaborate. If you collaborate, then your campaigns, whatever products that you launch, will have a more seamless experience for the customers. Because let's say if you don't have that, you just launch it, marketing do it, blast it out, run the TVC campaign. Customers then, the query comes in, nobody knows about it, then the customers get upset. They say, yeah, I've seen this on TV commercial. And then they say, what do you see? So it becomes quite frustrating. So I always say, that is not efficient. We are spending a lot of money to get the awareness, but when the awareness comes into potential leads, we drop because the ecosystem is not really working together at the time. So I think that's a great big challenge. It's always a constant struggle to make sure it's working holistically.
I think there's a lot of similarities between that and this buzzword of digital transformation, right? So we look at a lot of transformation programs, and across every client, every customer, and every program that we've seen, the biggest challenge is always with that people, right? Teams, departments, whoever that is, people need to work together. They need to have a shared vision. It's not about the technology, but it's about the people itself. And ultimately, I think what's really important is they need to start having a mindset that everything that they're doing is to provide a consistent customer experience
Yes.
to the end customer.
Yes.
That I believe that is the true digital
Yeah.
transformation.
Yeah, I think that's the key. Personally, for me, I think that is, let's say, if I were to run a company, if I were to do something, I think fundamentally from the beginning to the end, it's always about customers, consumers. Otherwise, everything changes. Everything changes. You have new HR technologies. You have new AI that can do your accounting, etc., and all that. But customers as also ever changing. I think sometimes, I don't know, organization or companies tends to forget that and put too much focus on internal. It's like we have to do digital transformation, etc., which is good, but it also needs to have a nice balance. What we do internally, what the change internally will, how would this have positive impact on the business efficiency? Yes, I think a lot of things digital transformation may bring efficiencies into companies, but in terms of customers experience is also important. That's where how this transformation will also transform how the employees work, and the employees needs to focus on driving the customers to be happier using our products. So I think that is, for essence, I think how organization needs to drive is to ensure that they have a single focus on to make the customers the happy customer.
Okay. I noticed also that outside of your day-to-day challenges with customer experiences, your day-to-day work that you're doing with your team, etc., you do quite a bit of sports and fitness activities. I remember actually a couple of years ago that you did a triathlon. Is that right?
Yes.
And you participate quite regularly in a lot of what you call marathons, etc. Right? One of my mentors used to tell me that actually running a business is very similar to running a marathon.
Yes, that's right.
You know where the end goal is, and your struggle is to get to the end goal, but your focus is to take every single step, right? What are some of the learnings that you've got while you're participating in some of these marathons and activities?
Maybe I start from the beginning. As a child, I'm always very active in school, so I represented my school in some like track and field at a very young age. I think like the secondary school, grade 10, grade 11. And I used to play football, so that's to keep me active, and I like football a lot. So, but I think in 2014 or 2013, yeah. So I have a torn ligament, so I could not continue playing soccer, could not continue playing football. So I shifted to doing more running, and also to triathlon. So I think sports have also helped me in dealing with work. I think how I usually do it is also, we spend a lot of time training. I think training is also very important. It's training your own discipline. So you have to get up early, get up on time to make sure before. So usually, I spend about 4 to 5 days a week doing some form of training. So whether it's cycling, indoor cycling here, running, and swimming. So these three, first, I like to run a lot. Running actually frees up my mind to think about clearly. I think clearer about work. So sometimes people will ask, oh, how come you have so much time? Actually, I told them I have the same time as you. Everybody has 24 hours a day. There's no one will have more time. It's just how you manage time. But I see you running like 2-3 hours, and how can you work? You are not tired. So of course, at the beginning you are tired, but your body is always very adaptive. So over a period of time, if you have the tenacity to keep going, it's like, then the body will adjust itself to make sure it has the endurance to keep it going. So I spend at least on the weekend maybe 3-4 hours just training. And usually when I train, I also think about ideas, think about the work that I have, the problems, how can I solve it. And by running, it gives me very clear clarity, because when you run, it's always it's a very repetitive. So sometimes people feel bored, right? So when it's repetitive, then your mind becomes, for me, it becomes quite clear or clearer. So sometimes when you're in the office, there's always a lot of meetings, there's calls, there's people coming in, there's a lot of distractions. So doing sports itself, especially running, helps me get away from the distractions. Also, for example, like swimming, right? Nobody can talk to you when you swim.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's your own time. You have that time for yourself. You may have certain timing that you want to reach in terms of, usually I swim like 1.5 kilometers. So it takes up maybe 35-40 minutes. So it helps me at a time, maybe I will have 2 or 3 tasks. I have this challenge, I have this. I jump into the pool, I say, before I come out from the pool, I should have some solutions. Okay. So when I swim, I will think about, how can I solve this? Similarly for the run, it's the same thing. Every week, we have certain challenges. Okay, how can I solve this? Okay, by the end of the run, I should have some solution. So I'll then start running. So it's kind of a way to get away, and this is how I try to program it. So it's not. So it keeps you running, and doing sports keeps you healthy. At the same time, it also helped me in certain problems at work, issues that I can't solve, maybe issues with people. How can I deal with? Can I deal with in a different way? How can I get a message across? So things like that, I always keep that time when I do my running or my swimming or my biking. I will use that to ensure that I come up with some solutions, even ideation, even planning a campaign. So I can plan it when I swim. So when it gets out, sort of I get a framework out. So that's kind of.
So that's why you run.
Yeah,
quite a lot.
That's quite a lot. Maybe the more you run, you say, oh, Richard is very stressed right now because he runs a lot. But running also helps you de-stress.
Right.
So after a while, right now, usually when I run, it's always in the morning. But previously, maybe a few years back, I always run after work. So I feel running in the morning before work for me, is much better, because I feel fresh going to the office rather than. And also when you run, for me, when you do sports in the morning, it gives you more energy.
For me, the way that I deal with that kind of own time, problem-solving time is actually, funny enough, my way of doing that is cooking.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I find a lot of similarities between like programming and cooking. It sounds weird, but the way that I look at it is, cooking is very, how do I put it? It's very sequential and step by step. It's very repetitive as well, right? You're basically slicing off things, etc., and you're kind of mixing all together in the same bowl. That actually frees me up to think because you're doing the same thing every single day over and over again, right? So that actually helps me to focus on coming up with new ideas, etc. And I believe actually cooking is also a creative process.
Yes,
Like,
yes. I do some cooking.
Yeah.
Not so much, but I get exactly what you mean. I think it's the same thing also.
It's the same
Cooking
thing.
it's a creative process. It's like, do we need a recipe? No, I don't think.
Nope,
When
I
I
don't
cook,
have a
I don't
recipe.
really. I would just have some idea. This is how I want to cook it. These are the ingredients I want. I'll buy it, and which steps comes first, I will think about it, and then, okay, this is the way I do it.
Yeah, no, that's exactly how I do it. I think that's a part of cooking that a lot of people enjoy, because even the slightest of changes in ingredient actually could mean a whole new cuisine, right? So that's why I think there's a lot of I love programming, and right now I'm focusing more on business, and I'm not by default actually I'm not allowed to do programming by my team. So cooking is sort of my guilty pleasure that I enjoy on the side, but it has actually helped me to come up with new ideas, definitely.
Coming back to the sports, for me also, it's something to look forward to. I think it's also something like that keeps me on top of my mind, keeps me motivated. I think there's also certain things, because like running a marathon is always not easy. I'm not the fastest runner, so it takes 4.5, 5 hours.
Still pretty fast.
Yeah, 4.5, 5 hours to run, and it's a long. And you always have to pace yourself.
Yeah.
So that's also similarly to how I look at work. You have to pace yourself. So some of the advice I give is like, you can't go too fast. You need to make sure you have the energy when you reach the end. If you go too fast, halfway through you burn out, and you are not able to complete your task. Then halfway through, when you feel you are burnt out, then you have a lot of pressure, and a lot of things will happen because of that. So if you pace yourself, you know how far you need to go, and you know this is the pace that you have to keep up with to make sure you are able to finish. So I think
actually,
very
my
important.
closest mentor actually said exactly the same thing. He is 53 this year. He runs around Singapore every weekend. So he will run around Singapore every single time. And his point is, I do it because it's a pattern, it's a a routine, and it helps him to always focus on pacing himself. Because if you grow too fast, then you fail too fast as well, and exactly like you said, you burn out after a while.
So sometimes it's human nature. You always try to go fast.
Of course.
So usually,
you want to be the fastest.
Yeah, so marathon kind of teach you the discipline to slow down. Actually, is to slow down.
It's quite contrary to what you would think
to
normally.
slow down for you to run fast. Yeah, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because if you run too fast,
Yeah.
you end up walking, and it takes longer. So when you pace yourself, you run slow, but the end you complete the whole marathon faster. That's kind of the thinking I have. And that's kind of the philosophy I have as well. In terms of working, it's like you have to go fast, but you need to know how fast you can. You have to know your limit.
Know your limits, exactly.
To make sure you can reach the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's very important.
Okay.
Okay, Yemet, I think we had a very long conversation.
Absolutely.
It's a very good chat. I think I learned a lot more about your business, and also able to learn a lot more information from you. And thank you so much for spending your time with.
Yeah, thanks to you as well. I really enjoyed our chat. It's been a while. We should do this quite regularly.
Yeah, I think we should meet
as
up quite
well.
often.
And especially for all the viewers out there, I think you're great inspiration to the young people, especially the way that you think about consumers, the way that you look at running and how it helps you to keep your motivation on, etc. Those are really useful for me, and I'm sure it'll be useful for all of our viewers. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.